So today we're going to be taking a look at the Horizon Forbidden West Aloy action figure from SpinMaster. I've heard so many good things about this figure and about this line as a whole, so I'm really excited just to see what it's all about. So let's not waste any time and let's get right into it. So right on front, it's a really nice collector's box, and I do believe that this is the only figure in the line so far that has kind of this collector's box with the slipcover and all this art and detail. So that's really cool for this figure. Right on front, of course, you have a picture of Aloy herself as well as a render of the figure. Of course, Horizon Forbidden West, Aloy, and this does tell you that this is the Nora Huntress outfit. You also get some other details about the figure, like the height, and of course, 42 points of articulation. On the side, you get a nice little render of the figure again with all of its accessories. And again, it just really feels like a really nice collector's box because of all the information that it shows. So that's just awesome. And then on the back, you get a really nice picture of Aloy once again. And of course, a little description if you don't know much about her or you want a little bit of a recap. So you could go ahead and read that if you want to. And then on this side, you get the key art for the game cover on the physical game, Horizon Forbidden West, Aloy, and of course down here, the Shapes collection. So let's go ahead and let's not waste any time and let's take off this cover and see what's underneath. That's a really nice box. It's a really nice collector's box. I really like the way that they kind of just used the art and kind of made the whole box look like that. So, of course, right on front, you get Horizon Forbidden West, Aloy again, the Shapes collection. And I just love how I could just like kind of put this on the shelf and use this as a backdrop. It just looks so cool. Then on this side, a larger image of that key art. And then on the back, this is most likely from the second game, but I don't know why I feel like this picture is from the first game. But still, though, it looks really cool, really nice art. And again, you could use this side as kind of a backdrop for your figure if you wanted to. So it's really nice. And then here is an extended side of the initial image. Let's see what's inside. Wow, that is really cool. Again, I say it a lot with this figure. I've already said it a lot, but it really feels like a nice collector's experience. So if you're someone that really loves these collector boxes, this is definitely for you. The presentation is just perfect. You have the figure here with a really nice backdrop, and then of course all the accessories and a nice little section on its own. So really nice, like 10 out of 10 for presentation. But let's go ahead and let's take this figure out. So here is everything right out of the packaging, and already everything just looks so nice and well painted. So much detail and so many different textures all around, all the accessories, and of course the figure itself. So before I go ahead and just keep talking about how amazing everything feels right out of the box, let's go ahead and take a closer look. So let's go ahead and let's start with Aloy's spear. So it's a really nice spear, very nice, very sharp as well. And like I said, there are just so many different textures on this spear, which is just really nice and really nice paint all around. They have different kind of style paints. So there's like a metallic look over here. And then of course you have more of like a dry kind of dry brushing look for the feathers. So a really nice paint job, and it just looks so awesome. Moving on, let's go ahead and take a look at the bow, which is honestly just amazing because it's an actual bow. You could literally just use it like an actual bow. Like that's awesome. I need to get more figures from this line because that's just really cool. But again, paint, everything just looks so great. And of course you have different paint all around. Moving on, we have Aloy's satchel for her bow, for her arrows. This is the one accessory that I do think could use a little bit more paint, especially for the arrows themselves. Of course, the buckles are painted, which is nice, but I do feel like a little bit more paint definitely would have gone a long way into making this much more of a nicer accessory. But the great thing about this accessory is that it is optional. It has a little peg, so you could put it on, you could take it off, whatever you want. And then the next accessory is going to be this arrow, and this is kind of shows what I mean, where this arrow just looks so nice and nicely detailed that I feel like they could have painted it like this for that little satchel over there, or maybe just give us like 2 or 3 of these arrows and then just let us put it inside. So, you know, of course, the paint on everything else definitely compensates for that, but it is something that I would have liked. Moving on to the face plates, you do get a lot of options. They are very small, but they are pretty cool. You get this really nice kind of screaming face. Next up, you get a smiling face with some paint on it, some face paint. I haven't played the game in a while. I played through the first and a little bit of the second, so remind me in the comments what the face paint means or the significance. But it's definitely still cool little accessories that you could use and change up Aloy's look whenever you want. Next up is a surprised face with some white face paint. And finally, you get a more determined look for Aloy, which is pretty cool. So definitely a lot of different choices, a lot of different customization. And of course, for hands, you do get 3 pairs of hands, so 6 in total. And you get two fist hands. Let me put them into focus for you right there. You get 2 closed fist hands. You can use that for whatever punching kind of pose you would like to do. You get these 2 hands, which are specifically for the bow, I think. Yeah, I do believe they're for the bow. So that is pretty cool. Definitely going to use those. And then finally, you get 2 open grasp hands. So you definitely get, again, a lot of variety for whatever pose you want to do. And that's just awesome. But let's move this aside and let's take a look at this awesome figure. So here is Aloy. And I have to say already off the bat, it's just such a nicely detailed figure. Like I've been saying with this entire collector's box with all of these accessories, everywhere you look, there's just so much detail and it's just amazing. So let's go ahead and take a closer look. Let's start, of course, with her face. And right there, when I bring the camera into focus, you could see all of the detail. You could see the freckles and kind of the shadows, and it just looks really nice. And the camera doesn't even capture how good it looks. In person, it looks so good. Moving on, of course, to like her hair, you could see all of that detail, the dry brushing, of course, the blue for the braids, and everything's just painted perfectly. There's not even any mishaps, really, like any mistakes anywhere. It's just perfect. Of course, in her ear, you could see the little device. Forgot what it was called. Remind me in the comments. But you could see that there. And then, of course, all throughout her outfit, you see all the different details, all the different kind of fur textures. And then, of course, you see like the machine parts on her, which is really nice. And it's just such a nicely detailed figure all the way around. And no paint was like skipped, nothing on the back is missing, and that's perfect. So let's go ahead and start looking at the articulation because it is pretty insane. So, of course, we could always start at the head, but why not start at the hair? Because this figure has hair articulation. She can move this bunch of hair, this bunch of hair, this bunch of hair, and then, of course, the 2 on this side. So you have 1, 2, like 5 different articulation points just in the hair, which is crazy. So you could really get any look you want. You could have it blowing in the wind, or maybe you want her kind of like leaping down, but you really could do whatever you want with this figure and it would work. So it's really nice that they included this for this figure, and I really honestly hope to see it in other figures. Of course, you're not going to kind of have like the rooted hair like in art figures in 1/12th scale. I believe this is 1/12. I don't know. 6-inch scale figures. Of course, you're not going to have like the rooted hair like in art figures do. So to have articulation in the hair for longer hair characters is awesome. So that's absolutely fantastic. And then of course, moving on to just her head itself, she can look left, she can look right, she can look up. Not actually too much, but she can look down a whole lot that far. So really nice articulation in the head, like crazy articulation. You could really do whatever you want, which is amazing. Moving on to her arms, she does have butterfly joints, and this actually moves out of the way, so you don't have to worry about that. But if you could see in there, she does, I believe, have a butterfly joint. Yeah, she does. It's kind of hidden in there, but she does have a butterfly joint. And then her arm itself, ooh, that's a little tight, can go up about that much. I do think it could go more if you force it, but mine is a little tight and I don't really want to force it, but it can make a T-pose. You do get a bicep swivel right at the cut, so perfectly seamless. And then of course you get a single jointed elbow with a perfect 90 degrees. At the hand, of course, it goes in and out. Wow, that is actually a really tight joint though. Yeah, so there is a hinge there, vertical hinge for it to go in and out, but mine is stuck. So you're going to want to be careful. Of course, this is a delicate figure, so you don't want to break it or force it to break. But there is a hinge there for that if you can loosen that up. On the other side, of course, T-pose once again, butterfly joint, 90-degree elbow, and then, of course, your hinge at the hand. Moving on to the torso, you do get an upper torso on a ball joint, so she could go all the way around however you want. And then if you could see right there, there's actually a perfect place for a cut at like the midsection. So you could get all the way over. You could bend all the way over or all the way back, which is amazing. Of course, there isn't actually any movement at the waist itself to twist, but with all the other movement up here, I feel like you have more than enough. At the legs, because the clothes is actually separate parts, you can kick out to about this much. So a little less than a straight kind of 90. She can't do like a split, but it is still pretty good, especially for a figure with all of these layers of clothes. And then you do get a double hinged knee, which can go all the way to as far as you need, as far as humanly possible. So that's great. Then of course, same on the other side. Then down at the ankle, the ankle itself can move inside of the boot, which is incredible. And then of course you get a hinge to go forward and then a hinge to go backwards. So crazy movement all the way around. And I forgot another joint, a toe joint. So you get a lot of movement with this figure, and I kind of feel like I need to get some more display stands to really get the most use out of this figure, because it is just incredible the poses you could get with it. And already articulation 10 out of 10, detail 10 out of 10. I understand what people were saying about this figure. It is just awesome. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at some poses it can do and some comparisons, and then I'll give you my final thoughts. So here's Aloy in a more standard pose because I kind of wanted to show you more of her height, and I wanted to show you how she is compared to other figures. Before buying her, I know one of my concerns was her height because she did seem on the smaller side. And I have seen videos where people say she is the accurate height. But of course, I wanted to show you, if you have any of the figures I do, how tall she will look in your collection. So let's get on to the comparisons. First off, here she is with the alien xenomorph from NECA. Of course, he is ginormous, and I want to show you kind of a creature-like figure. Here she is with some Wookiees, of course, Chrysanthemum and Chewbacca. Pretty cool. I think they kind of fit the same aesthetic. Here she is with the Shredder, also from NECA, and definitely a very big character, similar to the Xenomorph, but she does actually stand decently well against him, so I don't know. You think she could take the Shredder? And finally, here she is with some stormtroopers. So what do I think about the Aloy action figure from SpinMaster? I definitely think that it is a must buy, especially right now on Amazon. I believe it's like 50% off. I got this for around $20 and it retailed, I believe, for like $50. So especially right now, it's worth it. And even at that higher price point, this figure definitely is worth that price. The paint is perfect. The articulation is like far beyond any other collecting brand like Hasbro. It's just really amazing. You could get any pose out of this that you want. So many different options for customizing the look of the figure and the collector's box and presentation. It is all just perfect. 10 out of 10. Definitely would recommend. And I really want to get more from this line, because if the other figures are anything like this, of course I know they won't come with as many accessories since this is specifically for a collector's edition kind of. But if they have the same articulation and they have similar quality, I'm definitely going to keep collecting from this line. So thanks for watching. Let me know down in the comments if you have this figure, and I'll see you next time.